Hello and welcome to our expert workshop on Reyrolle 7SR10 Essentials. My name is Chris Edwards and I'm happy to be your moderator for this webinar. Our expert today is my colleague and good friend Neil Dosdale, who is a PLM for Reyrolle and is based in our office in Hebburn near Newcastle in the UK. We will record this webinar and make the recording and the slides available to all registered participants. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them at any time during the presentation in the Q&A field. I'll then put your questions to Neil at the end of his presentation so he can answer them live in the dedicated Q&A session. In addition, you can also use the chat field if you have anything other than questions you wish to contribute. Please be aware the chat is available in live mode only. Q&A questions will be answered via email if we run out of time during the live session. And just in case you are in full screen mode, press Escape to see the Q&A and chat box. Neil, I'm sure everyone is eagerly waiting and ready to learn more about the Reyrolle 7SR10 Essentials, so I'll stop talking and hand over to you. Take it away.
Hi and welcome. My name is Neil Dosdale and I work for Siemens in the UK. I've worked for Siemens for over 23 years. My background is in development, support of Reyrolle products. In this presentation, I'd like to give you a brief overview of the 7SR10 and highlight some of the features that might be important to you and why the 7SR10 could be the right product for you. Reyrolle is a global brand with over 100 years experience protecting our networks. The 7SR10 platform uses our latest software and hardware designs. The design benefits from over 35 years of continuous improvement and field experience with various Reyrolle numeric devices. All 7SR10 models run the same base firmware and share common hardware. This results in the same look and feel and easy-to-use functionality all devices in the 7SR10 platform. Despite the compact design, it can pack a great deal of functionality. It has a front USB port for local connection to a PC for configuration, interrogation, and firmware upgrades. It has a 4-line backlit display that makes it easy to view the device information and provides a local interface for viewing settings, measured values, indications, alarms, and fault data. The keypad operation has a familiar Reyrolle feel, with buttons for easy menu navigation, as well as 2 function keys for circuit breaker controls. There are a total of 10 LEDs on the fascia. A single fixed LED is used to indicate protection healthy, and there are a further 9 user configurable LEDs, which can be configured between the different colors, red, yellow, or green. A convenient slip-in label allows easy labeling of the LEDs. The front panel has an IP54 rating, which will protect against the common dust and ingress found in a substation. A new front cover is now available as an ordering option. It can be used to limit access to the fascia and keys. It has a single push button to allow operation of the test reset button and prevents access to the menus, settings, and control functions. In the future, the plastic mouldings will be changed from black to use the Siemens blue, which is used on Reyrolle products such as Reyrolle 5, 7SR45, and 7SR46. 7SR10 will fit into the popular 4U high mountain hall. It comes in a compact size 4 form factor with polycarbonate molded case that is non-withdrawable. The rear connections are user-friendly pluggable terminals that allow wire connections for the power supply, communications, binary inputs, binary outputs, and VTs. The CT terminals use a fixed connection that is suitable for ring connectors, providing a secure and reliable termination. The rear RS485 communications port is available as an ordering option, and the earth connection is provided on the rear plate to allow the case to be safely earthed. The 7SR10 supports three of the most common communications protocols: IEC 870.103, Modbus, and DMP3. All devices offer multiple settings groups. Non-directional devices have 2 settings groups, while directional devices have 4 settings groups. In terms of security, we have 2 confirmation IDs to protect against unauthorized and unintentional operation. When only authorized users can modify settings using the setting confirmation ID, and control confirmation ID allows a user to perform control actions. The 7SR10 incorporates self-monitoring and supervision features to ensure the device is operating correctly. These include checks for the power supply, code execution, memory validation, and sampling health checks. To aid with current circuit breaker maintenance, the 7SR10 provides CB operation counters and wear counters to estimate the amount of wear and tear experienced by the circuit breaker. The 7SR10 provides 2 types of user programmable logic. Quick logic allows the user to create simple single-line equations in a text format, and Ray logic allows users to create complex logic schemes with interlocking. User-defined curves have been added to the 7SR10 to bring it in line with other devices in the Reyrolle family. The custom curves are configured using Raydisp, and a custom curve will appear as an additional option in the characteristic setting for an element. Another new ordering option is conformal coating. By applying conformal coating to electronics, we increase the protection against harmful environmental influences. We can store up to 1,000 events with 1 millisecond resolution. The number of fault records have been increased to 100, and the waveform recorder stores information for analog channels and captures the state of the protection functions, binary inputs, binary outputs, and LEDs. The waveforms can range in length from 1 second up to 15 seconds and have user configurable pre- and post-trigger points. They can be triggered from protection functions, binary inputs, or via data comms. The measurands can be viewed as instruments on the fascia or output via data comms. Now I'd like to focus on the hardware. All devices have 4 CTs that are rated for both 1 amp and 5 amp input. This includes 3-phase inputs and an earth fault input that can be ordered as earth fault or sensitive earth fault. The directional overcurrent device also has 3 VTs, and all devices can be selected as 50 Hz or 60 Hz operation. Binary inputs can be ordered with a range of voltage thresholds, including 19 or 88 volts DC, and the combined 44 voltage binary input for AC or DC operation. Non-directional devices can be ordered with either 3, 5, or 9 binary inputs, while a directional device has 9 binary inputs. The 7SR10 has 2 binary output arrangements, either 3 binary outputs or 6 binary outputs. Both versions have 2 changeover contacts that allow normally open or normally closed operation. In addition to the low voltage and high voltage power supplies, a new universal power supply is available with a combined range of 24 to 240 volts DC and 48 to 240 volts AC. The front USB port is fitted as standard, and the rear RS485 is an ordering option that will support IEC 870, Modbus, and DMP3. Looking at the additional MFB options that have been added to the non-directional device, the low I/O count model that has 3 binary inputs and 3 binary outputs can now be ordered with the optional RS485 rear port comms. The universal power supply is now available with 19-volt binary inputs. This option also adds 3 binary inputs, resulting in 9 binary inputs and 6 binary outputs. Turkish language support is available as an MFB ordering option. So looking at the conformal coating, this is a new option for the 7SR10 and is recommended for devices that operate in harsh conditions. This coating increases protection against harmful environmental influences such as extreme moisture, corrosive gases, and aggressive dust. It provides additional protection to the device by coating the circuit boards. This isolates the electronic components and circuitry from air contaminants such as hydrogen sulfide and chlorine, aggressive dust such as salts, sulfates, and nitrates, and also extreme warm moisture conditions. The conformal coating on the 7SR10 has been tested and passes the ISA G3 standard for mixed gas corrosion. Looking at the non-directional device in a little more detail, it has 4 current inputs and implements current-based protection. Functions include negative sequence overcurrent protection, broken conductor detection, thermal overload protection, cold load overcurrent protection, and instantaneous and time delay protection for overcurrent and SEF applications. The new features highlighted in orange include undercurrent protection and line check. The restricted air fault protection was only available on directional devices, but has now been added to the non-directional device. An arc flash detection has also been added. This uses an external sensor input along with a 7XG31 ray arc module. This arrangement can detect an arc flash and trip within 10 milliseconds. And the ray arc can be ordered separately. Supervision functions include circuit breaker failure protection, closed circuit supervision, trip circuit supervision, and inrush detection. The newly added functions include CT supervision and THD, total harmonic distortion, which is useful in renewable applications. Control functions include circuit breaker control, CB counters, wear counters, and auto reclose, 79 reclose and 86 lockout. All devices include custom programmable logic, which is both ray logic and quick logic. And now the user-defined curves can be added. Moving on to the directional device, it takes the non-directional device, including its protection functions, and adds 3 voltage inputs and additional protection features using voltage and frequency measurements. These include under-over voltage protection, sequence over voltage protection, voltage-dependent overcurrent, power factor, neutral voltage protection, frequency protection, directional phase and earth fault protection. Again, we have new features for line check and arc flash detection using the external sensors and the 7XG31 ray arc module. The directional SEF has been updated to meet the CEI 016. This is a technical standard for connecting devices to medium voltage networks in Italy. It uses an alternative measurement algorithm for resonant and isolated networks in Italy, and it is available as an MFB ordering option. Newly added supervision functions again include CT supervision and total harmonic distortion. Control functions include circuit breaker control, CB counters, I2T counters, and auto reclose functions. All devices include custom programmable logic, ray logic, and quick logic. And the new curve editor functionality is also included. Moving on to the menu structure. The 7SR10 benefits from a simple, easy-to-use interface, which all Reyrolle devices share. If you've ever used any Reyrolle numeric device, then you'll be familiar with the 7SR10. The local HMI is divided into submenus, each with their own identity. The settings submenu allows you to configure the device, setting the operate frequency, CT-BT ratios, configure the comms, mapping binary inputs, outputs, and also parameterization of the protection functions. The Instruments submenu displays instruments and counters. Some examples include current, voltage, frequency instruments, and CB maintenance counters and status. The Fault Data submenu displays any faults the device has logged. Control mode allows control actions to be performed locally, for example, circuit breaker operations and plant switching. And finally, the Device Information submenu provides a quick and easy way to identify important information about the device, such as its name, MLFB, serial number, and version of firmware it's running. Moving on to the comms interface on the 7SR10. The front USB Type-B port is fitted as standard and allows for simple plug-and-play connections to RAIDISP using default settings. RAIDISP is compatible with IEC 870 protocol and can be used on the front port or via the optional RS485 port on the rear. Modbus, RTU, and DMP3 both run on the rear RS485 port exclusively. When wiring the RS485 port, we recommend using a screened twisted pair cable with a maximum of 64 devices on the bus. RAIDISP is our free tool that can be downloaded from the website and makes it easier to configure any number of 7SR10 devices. It is a Windows PC tool for parameterization and data analysis. It allows quick access to stored data for fault analysis, such as disturbance records, events, and fault recorders. It is easy to use, and with little effort, users can perform settings parameterization. Control actions are available via IEC 870 commands. User access control is possible using the two confirmation IDs for settings and control. RAIDISP is also available in the Turkish language. We also have a surface mounting bracket accessory for the 7SR10. This is a separate ordering option, and it has its own MLFB. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll hand you back to Chris.
Thank you, Neil. A very interesting session on the Reyrolle 7SR10. We have had a couple of questions, not too many, during the session, so I'll read each question aloud. Hopefully you can answer them. All I can see are the initials, so if you wonder who MM or TAR, that's the reason why. Okay, so I have a feeling that this might have already been answered in the presentation, but as a first question, what advantages does the Reyrolle 7SR10 have? Okay.
As we went through, it's very easy to use. It's very simple, very intuitive to use. It's easy to set up. We have free sets of tools. We have RAIDISP that can be used, RAIDISP Evolution, set up your settings. The device can be fully configured using the front fascia as well. It's also an important factor, perhaps. We have the programmable LEDs. We have programmable user logic. So it's a very flexible device. We have current, we have voltage, we have frequency, we have different binary input models, we have the different thresholds on the binary inputs, we have universal power supply, which is a great option. A lot of the new features now allow us to, or allow customers to purchase devices for stock, so they don't have to continuously buy specific devices. They can buy one device and it should fit all applications in their substation, which is a really cool feature.
Okay, thank you, Neil. We just have one more question. So can you reverse the function, sorry, this is by GVR, can you reverse the function of digital output of a Reyrolle 7SR10 I know we didn't specifically talk about that device, but we are short of a normally closed contact for a motor protection for the function ANSI 66 starts exceeded. Binary output 1 and binary output 2 have already been used for other applications. Many thanks for the answer.
Yeah. Yeah, so the 7SR10, it wasn't included in the webinar, but there probably is another webinar on that. It's the motor protection we have. In terms of an extra contact, it really depends on the functionality. Perhaps we could look at doing something in the user logic and inverting a piece of logic to then invert the output. It's something we can probably look at. Perhaps if you email in with a bit more information, we can look at it and hopefully provide a solution for you. I think that's probably the best way. Yeah, I think the programmable user logic is the answer for that. To look to that.
Thank you, Neil. We have actually had another couple of questions come in the meantime. So yep. What is the maximum number of, so they've got DI and DO. I don't know if that's supposed to be DI and
binary
DO.
Inputs, binary outputs.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the maximum number?
Right. As I recall, for the directional device, it's quite fixed. And we're looking at 6, no, we're not, it's 9, isn't it? That's the motor. Yeah, 9 binary inputs and 6 binary outputs. So that's on the directional device. So you've got your current and the voltage. And then the non-directional device is the device where you can order with several different options. So you have 3 binary inputs, 6 or 9. So the maximum is 9. You have 9 binary inputs and 6 binary outputs. So there's 3 different versions of I/O combinations for the non-directional device. Okay.
Thank you, Neil. Okay. So the next question says, MD, I don't know if that was the initial, in 7SR10 relay, we're facing binary output contacts are malfunctioning like permanently NC or NO. I'm not. Yeah. Don't know if you understand that one.
Okay. I've not seen that. I've not seen any real reports. Obviously, occasionally with the number of relays we sell, there's always likely to be a failure, an odd failure or two. The best thing to do, I would say, is contact customer care and log a ticket, and they will get in contact with you and help out. Try and diagnose the problem, and if it needs a repair, it can come back to the factory or a replacement, whatever. I assume it was still covered under the warranty, so that shouldn't be a problem. If you have any problems with customer care or getting hold of that, just drop your details into the chat and we'll have a look at that as well, and we'll pass you through or help diagnose it. Okay.
Thank you, Neil. Okay, we've got another question from CLK. It says, do all these new features on the relay come as a standard package or required needs to be stated in the order?
All the new protection functionality is going in as standard. The only thing, as we said, was in terms of the arc protection, the RayArc module that goes with it, the external sensors, is a separate ordering option, so it's a separate device really. But the RayArc software, sorry, the arc flash detector software is included. The CEI 016 software for the Italian specification, it's a separate ordering option. Other than that, all the new other functionality I can think of are all part of the standard MLFP.
Thank you, Neil. There's more coming in as you're talking, so I'll give you another one. This is from GV. It says, is there any forecast for the version compatible with the low power instrument transformers, i.e. current and voltage sensors, according to IEC 61869?
Yeah. I'm not sure is the honest answer. If we have these details, if we have your details, I'll check, I will look at it, see what we have on the backlog, see what market research we have for that, and if we have any plans to do it. If we don't have any plans, we can log it up. We have requirements for EA. That's a website I believe that all customers can access. And if you've got any requirements and you can build a business case for it, you can enter them in there.
Thank you, Neil. The last one I'm going to mention was just put in the chat rather than a question.
Okay.
It says, please don't miss to give the commercial reference for future contact. Is there any particular way that people would get in touch if they wanted more information on the 7SR10?
Commercial reference for future I'm not sure. I think that's probably, we'll take that offline. Don't quite understand the question, but I can drop you a message and we can have a chat about it. I don't know if you mean you're just looking for the links to the websites and the links to the information for the device, or it's actually how to order it, or things like the technical specifications and the things like the CE marking, UKCA, and the type test reports. I'm not sure, but we'll take that one offline and I can answer that. We'll have a chat.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Neil. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for your questions, and thank you, Neil, for taking the time to answer them. Still open questions will be answered via email, and if questions come to mind later, just contact our specialists and they will try to get back to you as soon as they are able. The access to the recording and slides will be sent to all participants. It has been my pleasure for me to guide you through this session on Reyrolle 7SR10 Essentials. I'm looking forward to meeting you soon in one of our next webinars. See you there, take care, and goodbye.